Are you blind? Look what you've done. You ruined my clothes. Do you even know who I am?
My child, forgive me. My eyes are weak with age. I did not see you.
Are you mad? Who is your child? Do you think you deserve to speak to me? Look at you. Rags, wrinkles, nothing.
Her mother opened the door. He filled the doorway like a bad dream. Oil-stained overalls, one shoe without laces, teeth the color of old cola, a cough that scratched like rust. He smelled of petrol, sweat, and rain. "I'm Judas," he said, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "I heard she's looking for me." Cynthia's stomach turned. The mirror behind her trembled in its crack. There was no ceremony, no joy, just a short, stunned prayer from her mother and the sound of the rain as Cynthia followed Judas into the wet evening. Head bowed, steps small, like shoes learning the ground again. His world was a one-room workshop behind a row of Danfo buses and a generator that never slept. A thin mattress leaned against a wall stained by smoke. Tools hung like broken teeth. Buckets caught rain from the holes in the roof. A small pot, 2 plates, no mirror. "Cook," he said, dropping into a plastic chair that sighed under his weight. "And don't salt it like you salted your tongue in the market." She swallowed. Yes. That became the shape of her days. Dawn. She rose before the buses coughed to life, fetched water with a yellow jerry can, palms burning from the handle, washed Judas's shirts in cold water that refused to turn clear, scrubbed the floor until the smell of petrol thinned. Morning. She cooked Gary and watery soup, served it with hands that used to hold ring lights. Judas slurped loudly, then complained, "Too thin." She apologized, then tasted the same soup and thanked it for filling her. Afternoon. She swept the workshop, stacked tools by size, learned the names she once mocked: spanner, socket, jack. When customers came, she greeted first and took cash with both hands. Some recognized her. Their eyes flinched. A whisper, a pitying nod. She kept her gaze on the ground and her voice gentle. "Good afternoon, sir. Safe journey." Evening. She walked to the market with a list written in greasy handwriting. Tomatoes, pepper, kerosene. The women at the stalls watched her. Silence at first. Then, one brave voice. "Good afternoon, Cynthia." She forced herself to Welithio. The words hurt like stitches, but afterward, breathing felt easier. At night, Judas snored like a failing engine. He belched, scratched, muttered. Sometimes his temper rose for no reason. He hurled insults like bolts. "You, fine empty plate." She listened, hands folded, counting heartbeats until anger passed. Other nights, he coughed until his chest ached. In those moments when the coughing wouldn't stop, she lifted his head and brought water to his lips. He never said thank you, but he drank. The city shifted around her. She began noticing what pride had buried. The conductor who slipped bread to a sleeping boy, the market woman who took less money from a widow, the mechanic who worked for free when a man couldn't pay. She learned faces, not filters, names, not numbers. One afternoon, a small girl tripped near the gutter, palms bloodied. Cynthia hurried over instinctively. Sorry," she whispered, cleaning the wounds with her scarf, blowing them cool. The girl's mother studied her carefully, then nodded. "Thank you." The nod warmed more than 1,000 likes. She started collecting little mercies, folding a neighbor's laundry before rain, sharing stew with the night guard, buying an extra orange for the bus driver who always smiled. The workshop slowly softened. She washed the curtains, mended the mattress, placed a tiny plastic flower by the window. Judas mocked it. Flower in a pit? She left it anyway. The room smelled a little less like grief, but the mirror at home still lived in her head. Some nights, when the generator died and the darkness felt like a mouth, she reached for a reflection that wasn't there and saw only memory. The crack widening, the face melting. She pressed her palms together and prayed out loud for the first time in years. "If you see me, please teach me to be small without disappearing." Days stitched themselves into a rhythm. She apologized to an old keiki rider she once laughed at. She delivered food to a woman who had just given birth. She carried a widow's bag up 3 flights of stairs. Word traveled, quiet, careful. Cynthia is changing. Judas didn't change. He stayed a storm with dirty boots. But once, after a long coughing fit, he sat on the edge of the bed, eyes damp with something softer than rage. He didn't look at her when he spoke. "People left me before I could leave them." The sentence hung in the air, surprising both of them. Then it vanished. "Light the stove," he grunted. She did. And in that small obedience, she felt something inside her unclench. On a Sunday morning, she stood outside the workshop and greeted every passerby. "Good morning." Some ignored her, some nodded. One elderly woman paused, searching her face like reading a story she'd seen before. For a breathless second, Cynthia thought it was Mama Michael, the voice of thunder in the marketplace. But the woman moved on, only a shadow of that memory. Back in the room, Judith slept. She sat by the window, watching the plastic flower shiver in the breeze. Her hands were cracked from soap and work. Her knees ached, but the ache felt clean. Somewhere far away, in a home she no longer visited, a covered mirror waited in dust. And in the quiet between engines, in the hush after rain, Cynthia heard the softest thing, like a thread pulled through cloth. Keep going. The city waking with horns and shouts, but in Judith's tiny workshop, the air was different. Cynthia rose from the mattress as always, fetching water, sweeping the floor, setting a pot to boil. Yet something inside her felt lighter, as if the weight of 100 nights had finally shifted. She stepped outside with the water basin, and the sun caught her face. For the first time in months, a stranger paused to stare, not in pity, not in disgust, but in surprise. "You look well," he murmured before moving on. She touched her cheek, heart racing. That day, everywhere she went, people looked twice. The children at the bus stop whispered, "She's glowing again." At the market, a woman selling oranges smiled warmly. "Cynthia, your light is returning." That night, sleep carried her into a dream. Under a great mango tree, Mama Michael stood, her wrapper glowing as if woven with stars. Her voice was no longer thunder, but calm water. "My daughter, your beauty is back. Not the beauty of mirrors, but the beauty of a heart that bends low. You are free." Cynthia awoke with tears on her cheeks. She stumbled to the water pot, bent over, and froze. The reflection staring back at her was no longer the cracked, fading stranger. Her skin was smooth again, her eyes bright, her hair thick and flowing. She gasped, pressing her hands to her mouth, laughter spilling out, half cry, half song. She ran into the street, spinning, weeping, singing. Neighbors rushed out, blinking in disbelief. "She is beautiful again. The curse is broken." The news spread like fire. The market women ululated, drummers beat their drums, children clapped and danced around her. But in the back of her mind, she knew where she had to go. She returned to the small workshop, where Judas sat chewing noisily, his face sour. He blinked at her, confused. This isn't my wife. My wife was ugly." Cynthia's smile trembled but held steady. "Thank you, Judas. You were part of my journey." She set down a calabash of steaming food before him. "May you find someone who loves you as you are." For once, Judas said nothing. He only stared, eyes darting away, as if her light was too much for him. Cynthia left that night with nothing but her mother's embrace waiting at home. Her father wept openly, holding her close. The village rejoiced, but she didn't run back to her old mirror. Instead, she covered it again, whispering, "I no longer need you." Not long after, a wealthy young prince visited the city, drawn by the story of the once proud woman who had fallen, served, and risen again. He saw Cynthia, and this time it wasn't just her face that captured him. It was her gentleness, her humility. He asked for her hand, and their wedding lit the streets with music, dancing, and joy the city hadn't seen in years. Yet on the morning of her wedding, when she passed by the old mirror one last time, her reflection smiled back perfectly. But the crack remained, thin, sharp, unhealed. It was a reminder that beauty could return, wealth could follow, love could blossom, but pride always waited, watching, like a shadow at the edge of light. And so Cynthia lived, never forgetting. She greeted every elder with respect, carried children on her back, and offered food to strangers. Her beauty remained, but her soul shone brighter. Still, sometimes in the quiet of night, she thought she heard it, the mirror's whisper, faint, patient, "I'm still here."